Morning, everyone. Let me just take a minute, introduce myself so you know who you're presenting to. My name is Barney Rosenberg. I was born and raised in the Bronx in New York City. Got called into the office of my favorite high school teacher one day, and he said, "Rosenberg, you're applying to Princeton." And I did. And 4 years later, I graduated. From there, I joined the Peace Corps, spent 2 years living and working in Brazil, learning Portuguese, and I started a housing co-op where it was, for the first time in the history of the families in the co-op, they were able to buy the land they were living on. And when I left, we had 1,000 houses under construction. Came back, went to law school at the University of Michigan, worked part-time as an interpreter for the State Department, translating for Portuguese-speaking guests of the US government. In part, that led to a number of really interesting and fun careers, including traveling to 65 of the countries you see on that map behind me. I have a long way to go. There are 195 countries in the world. I've only been doing this competition as a judge for the last 23 years, so I've still got some time to go for that. And with that, let me read you the instructions that I have for your two presentations today. You've been called back by the company, the organization that you gave your full presentation to, for a second visit. And they've asked that you speak only about the ethical aspects of the problem and to explain why your solution successfully handles those ethical issues. You will have 10 minutes. No Q&A, no slides or videos, just you and them, or me. And you probably have already figured out that you'll just have two people presenting this morning. So let me know when you're ready to start. I have a timer, and I will start the timer when you say go.
Hello, judges. My name is Amandine Lewis-Charles.
And my name is Audrey Burley.
We are Top Hat Consulting. Today, we ask you to assume the role of the International Code Council, also known as the ICC. In 1994, a group of major regional code agencies combined to form the ICC with the goal of creating a more uniform impact. The ICC is now the largest organization devoted to creating model codes, building codes with the noble vision of creating safe, affordable, and sustainable buildings in communities. You have become an essential leader in development of safety initiatives that offer the most comprehensive set of model building codes. To accomplish this mission, you aim to provide codes and tools that members can rely on by creating public trust. One way you accomplish this was by allowing multiple stakeholders actively participate in a 3-year open voting process to develop the model building codes. You also had many great breakthroughs related to energy efficiency in buildings. From 2006 to 2012, you increased energy efficiency by 37% because of changes to residential model codes. This is estimated to have saved homeowners 32% on energy expenses. That is a very big deal. However, your commitments and achievements have been set back with changes to the ICC approval process that took place from 2011 to 2021.
In 2011, membership on code approval committees was changed through a deal between the ICC and industry groups. Now, this deal guaranteed industry representatives 4 of the 11 voting seats on 2 powerful committees. And this so-called deal was not made public until the New York Times released an expose in 2019. As the ICC began increasing the movement and the involvement of industry representatives in committee hearings, energy usage failed to continue its previous downward trends, making a mere 1% improvement in lessening energy usage from 2012 to 2018. Now, after 19 years of code development process being dominated by builders and the industry interests, the highest voters turnout ever included hundreds of government elected officials came about in 2019. And they voted for the most energy efficient code ever in ICC history, with 10% improvements planned for the 2021 building codes. And these improvements included ports for electric wiring for appliances and electric cars. However, unfortunately, this set of model codes did not last. In 2021, the ICC proposed repealing the open voting process. Although 75% of voters, with the majority of these being government representatives, opposed this change, open voting for model codes was suspended. And this moved voting from a large open voting process to having codes being developed by small committees without input from local government building officials who administer it. Thereby, this excluded many experienced stakeholders. And this had many effects. For example, in 2021, the American Gas Association pushed to discard several electricity promoting model code recommendations, which they claimed disadvantaged the competitiveness of natural gas. The ICC board sustained this appeal, thereby overturning the majority governmental vote from 2019. Additionally, in 2021, a 3-member appeals board overturned 5 provisions, including an appeal filed by the National Association of Home Builders about a code that recommended circuitry for electric vehicle hookups in new constructions. One of the members on this 3-person board was Annie Anderson, a longtime member of the National Association of Home Builders. So why was this voting process changed? Well, this is a question that the public is asking. Well, the ICC may have personal reasons for involving industry groups and suspending open voting. The reality is that you have not given stakeholders a clear explanation for your actions.
When examining the policies and actions of the ICC, we have 2 main ethical concerns and proposed approach. The first is the appearance of conflict of interest. ICC, here's a very specific example of the control you have to influence large-scale impact on carbon emissions. Imagine if every new home and every new parking structure had this e-vehicle plug built in by default. Not only could you recommend this, you did. However, when a small but influential group of stakeholders suggested that such a code change could impact profits, 5 energy-reducing recommendations were overturned through the 3-person appeal committee. Moreover, the fact that the American Gas Association is one of the 2 gold sponsors of the ICC and provides $30,000 annually may seem suspect. Although we believe that the ICC must aim to maintain great relations with all stakeholders and sponsors, we want to stress how the previous event stated may hint at a potential conflict of interest, especially in the public eye. While there may not be a direct conflict of interest between the ICC and industry representatives, it is important to remember that even the mere appearance of a conflict is just as damaging to the ICC's credibility. Furthermore, we propose a utilitarian approach, which suggests that the most ethical choice is to do what will benefit most members of society. In this case, it is undeniable that promoting sustainable building codes will influence governments to implement codes that encourage sustainable living, reduce CO2 emission, and prevent irreversible damages caused by climate change, has the greatest outcome for our environment, our communities, and our planet. Secondly, the ICC needs to show that it upholds its commitments and values. On the ICC's website, it states that you are devoted to transparency and balance of interest as code development principles in your processes. And now more than ever, it is imperative to show your stance and how much you value your commitments by reversing some of your past decisions. You also have an exemplary mission and vision statement to make our communities safer and more sustainable. But to justly protect the health, safety, and welfare of communities and create a level playing field for builders and manufacturers, it is imperative that you allow the individuals with the community's best interests to have an equal voice in building code recommendations. After the implementation of the 2011 deal, there has only been a 1% improvement in energy efficiency, which is an outrageous number compared to the 37% improvement made in previous years. Once energy efficiency code that could result in 10% improvements were voted into in 2019, the code development process was completely changed in a way that unequally benefits industry representatives. We think that these numbers are very concerning and should be taken into consideration when we think about our ethical dilemma and use the deontological philosophical approach. This approach emphasizes the importance of upholding one's own values and ethical commitments. And as previously mentioned, especially with the 1% improvement in building codes, there is enough evidence to potentially suggest that the ICC has not always upheld its values to the highest standards.
It is also important to note that the ICC has made a direct public commitment to supporting the UN Sustainability Development Goals, two of which aim to, quote, make human settlements resilient and sustainable, as well as, quote, promote inclusive societies for sustainable development. Since the ICC has committed to giving an inclusive process to build a safe and sustainable tomorrow, they must give government experts an equal voice in deciding the fate of model codes. When this happened in 2019, government representatives voted to improve sustainability of the ICC model codes by over 10%. We hope that our following ethical recommendations can help you keep this promise of advancing the Sustainable Development Goals.
To help your organization reach its full potential in aiding the community, we recommend following this step-by-step process. First, we recommend that you reverse your previous actions and open the voting process to ensure that there's a balance of stakeholders in all committees and appeal processes. Secondly, we suggest that the next model building codes of 2024 project a greater improvement in energy efficiency than the 1% we saw in the last couple of years. Lastly, the ICC is a current existential moment for their organization. We suggest that you reinforce your transparency values in order to remain credible and relevant. Now, I want you to reflect on the magnitude of the impact of your suggested building codes, which has influenced nearly 1/3 of the world, from the US to Latin America, the Caribbean islands, and more. You have impacted more than 2 billion lives and have done nearly a century's worth of work in 18 years. Now, I would like you all to please close your eyes and imagine the worst storm images that you possibly can. Horrendous winds blowing roofs off of homes, gigantic waves washing away entire communities. Now imagine forest fires ravaging neighborhoods and dry scorched dirt that cannot support plant life. Now please open your eyes. This is not something that lives in your imagination. It is here, and we are rapidly running out of time.
Your presentations were so much better than the executive summary. I was able to track it. I was able to follow what you were talking about. Amandine, great use of the prop. That was very effective. Those are the kinds of things, and your energy was terrific. So kind of keep those things in mind as you move on in the academic world. Looks like you've both sort of incorporated that. That's who you both are. Keep it up. Well done. Proud of you both.